Good morning, everyone. This is Chirag from Bookshare. Today, we will be covering a very important topic on why creating accessible documents are so important. We all know we get PDF documents on the go from various sources. But are those PDF documents really useful to a print disabled person who is relying on screen readers? Is it as easy to navigate those documents as it is for us to navigate through a printed copy or the PDF copy of the book? The answer, unfortunately, is no. Even though lots and lots of documents are available online, there are very few documents that are navigable and readable with the help of a screen reader. The main reason is the documents that are created in the PDF format are made to look accessible but are not made accessible using the proper techniques. So today we'll be going through how an accessible document should be made in a very brief manner. An introduction to how Word documents are made accessible. And this is what we do at Bookshare to make each and every books that we get into an accessible EPUB copy that you can find freely on our website. So let's get into the topic and let's discuss. So we'll be beginning with an example of a very basic document that is an PDF file that you will be finding. This is a general PDF file. So this was made with no regards to accessibility kept in mind. This was just made as a PDF copy for people to read. Now, what are the difficulties behind these PDF files? Let's go through a few points that would be a difficulty in reading. So these are the different challenges that are there. So starting with the first point, there won't be any headings marked up. Even if there were headings, the headings won't be proper. It won't be able to navigate the user to the designated topic where he wants to reach. That is the biggest hurdle in terms of an inaccessible document. Say, for example, a student is sitting in a class, a print disabled or a visually impaired student is sitting in a class, and the teacher asks him, open chapter 3. If there were no headings marked in the PDF copy, he would be forced to scroll through the whole book before reaching to chapter 3. And if it's a large book, say around 400 pages, he will be sitting and scrolling around 120, 140 pages before he reaches chapter 3. So that is a very time consuming and an impractical way of navigation for a person who is using a screen reader. The next challenge comes in is that the images in the PDF copies are completely omitted out from the information given to the users who are visually impaired, especially. They cannot see the image, and if there is no alt text provided in the image in the copy, they do not get any information what the image is about. Especially for higher studies books where there are graphs included, for biology books where there are images. So all those information is gone. And that is not the proper way. So we should always give alt text to images. Make them understand what the image is about. Take all the details out of the image and provide them in the alt text box. So that is a proper way of handling descriptions for an image. Then there is lists. Usually in every textbooks or all documents, there are items that are made in lists, that is 1, 2, 3 or bullet points. So many a times are only written as a list item, but not marked as a list item using the word options. So when that is done, the screen reader does not recognize all those points that are arranged in one line, that they are a list. If it was marked as a list, it would announce those items as a list item. Say there were 5 points in one list, it would announce list with 5 items, and it is reading the first point. So it becomes very clear for the users when they navigate over there that, oh, this is a list and we are reading so and so point from that list. Next in line comes footnotes. Again, a very important aspect when you are writing a thesis, for example. In those books, footnotes become a very integral part of the book. What the general practice is, usually in a PDF copy, you give a superscript number over there, and a footnote is written at the end of the page. That practice is good if you are a sighted person. You can see number 1 over there and number 1 written at the bottom of the page. But what if you are using a screen reader? When you come to that point, it will just read number 1, and the person has no idea where the footnote lies below. And when the person reaches the end of the page, suddenly the footnote starts reading up. So that is not the proper way of inserting footnotes again. Then coming to the next thing is the table. What we usually do with tables in Word is that you manually draw the tables. There is an option for drawing tables around text. Now that is again a cited process. Drawing makes it look like it's in a table format, but when the screen reader comes over there and the word option for table is not used, it does not recognize it as a table. So it does not allow you to use any functionality that was assigned in Word for using tables, like navigation, using reading headers and footer in the table. So all those navigation options are omitted if you draw it manually. Then coming to the very important point of math in STEM. In 99% of the books, in the PDF copies that you find online, if there is STEM content involved, the STEM will not be read out with the screen reader. It will either read something that is not so it is not showing you exactly what is given, like a fraction. It will read 1/2. That is not the correct way of denoting a fraction. It won't read superscripts, it won't read subscripts. And that is if it is made a little accessible. If it was made completely inaccessible, it will just be there as an image. The complete math equation would be there as an image. So math content is completely out of the way for visually impaired children who are using screen readers if it is not made accessible. And then comes the last and a very important point of using Unicode languages when we are writing anything in the Word file to make a PDF or a EPUB file. If we do not use Unicode languages, the text that we see in a PDF file will look like a proper language text, say English or any vernacular languages. But when you try to copy it, it will give you all garbage values. And when you use such a non-Unicode language in your PDF final output file, the screen reader will only read the garbage values. So that book will be rendered completely inaccessible for people with print disability or visually impaired people who are trying to use it as screen reader. So now let's take a look at how the PDF file would look like, what I would discuss right now. So this is the PDF file. So I will turn on the screen reader. So keep an open ear for what the screen reader is announcing, so you will be able to better grasp it. So this is the NVDA screen reader that is turned on.
Inaccessible Word document sample graphic unlay PDF bar tool.
So right now what you saw, when I click the down arrow, it directly jumped to a very random topic. So let's start with the first point, that was headings. So if I go into a table of contents over here,
Table of contents navigation.
so you see there are randomly marked 3 table headings in the table of contents. So if I click on the first one,
You've moved to C.
it
User
brings me to the first page.
downloads in C. Table of
Third one
contents
brings me directly
navigation.
to the third one brings me directly to the end of the PDF file, that is on the 5th page. So that is not a proper way of marking it. So the person who is using the screen reader has no way to navigate this document except for scrolling the whole document for the information he needs. Okay. Then the alt text. So let's take a look at some graphics in this book. So we'll take one over here.
Page 2 landmark GRA. Unlabeled graphic.
So what you heard right now, it said unlabeled graphic. So whatever information is shown in the image is lost for the person using the screen reader because it won't read anything else than an unlabeled graphic. So this is not a best practice to do. Always give all descriptions for your images. Tell the users what the image is showing. So we'll come into that topic when we discuss how to do that. Then going into lists. If we go to the first page of this document, you see there are lists over here. So if I go over here,
X graphic unlabeled speed test document no next list.
so it's not recognizing. This is a shortcut that if you click on L, it should jump to the next list. So it's not jumping anywhere and it's only saying no next list.
No next list.
Because it's not recognizing that there is any list in this document. So again, the navigation functionality did not work for NVIDIA users because the lists are not marked properly. Then there are footnotes. If you see over here, this number 1 tagged.
Zoomed in.
So number 1 tagged is marked as a footnote, but it is not linked to the footnote that is shown at the bottom of the page. So if the screen reader user wanted to directly see what this footnote is, he will have to scroll the whole way down after 1, search for this particular number 1, and assume that this was the footnote for that point. So there are a lot of assumptions, lot of scrolling involved, and a lot of efforts on the part of the screen reader user. So this is not the proper way of denoting footnotes. Everything looks okay, but it is not okay in terms of accessibility point of view. Okay, then there are no tables inserted in this document. And then we go on to the math, the very important topic of math. So this is the math topic that we were going to discuss. So here, if you see, it won't read anything.
Page 3 landmark 3 maths definition 1 a function we denote graphic unlabeled graphic 7.4 in.
So it said graphic unlabeled graphic again. So the full matrix equation that was there over here that we see is completely lost to the person who was using a screen reader. Again, not a good thing to have in a maths books where the equation is just as important as the text, right? So math is not covered with this inaccessible documents. And then coming to the case of Unicode text. So if we move down over here, you see this is a text in vernacular languages.
Graphic into graphic in craft of the chap also reformulated as 300.
Just a second.
Graphic unlabeled page 4 landmark graphic inverted exclamation point.
So the thing why it jumps when I click down arrow, it jumps up and down is because the page is tagged in such a way. So the screen reader won't read it in order. It will keep on jumping up and down the page. So again, the order of reading is disturbed in this inaccessible document. Okay. So you have to understand one thing, that the person using a screen reader won't be using a mouse like I did to navigate to that word. So he will only click the down arrow to go over there. So if the information keeps jumping here and there, so he won't have any link to the topic. So now let's see if it reads this vernacular languages right now. So if you heard, that was all garbage values. Let's see another example.
Graphic unlabeled inverted exclamation car.
Okay, so it's not reading Hindi. So now let's see how it copies Hindi. I will turn off the screen
Exit
reader
in
for now. And this is a selectable text right now. Okay, just like we select English in our books. If we select this and go into a Word file, right? I'll just go to a new page. And if I paste this over here, you will see all garbage values coming up. So this is not Hindi. It did not recognize it as Hindi because it was not in Unicode format. So this is the line that it read right now. So if we have text like this whole book becomes completely inaccessible to screen readers. So the whole point of making this book becomes absolutely unusable for the person. So these were the drawbacks in this book, a traditional PDF book. Let's see if this was made accessible, a properly accessible document, then how the screen reader would react to this same situation. So once we have made the whole thing in a Word file and we export it to an EPUB file, so let's see what it does now. So this is the EPUB file of the same document which was made accessible. So again, starting on the first point, we have got headings. So if you go over here in the table of contents, now you see there are different headings marked up. So if the child needs to go, if the teacher says go to graph and math example, so he just navigates over there with his keyboard with the screen reader on. He just goes over there, clicks on it, and it takes him to that math and graph example. Okay, so the navigation feature is now in the book. They will be able to navigate as easily as a sighted child would be navigating through the PDF copy or the printed book. So headings are a very important aspect of marking. Okay. Then, since we are on this page, let's see what the alt text has become now. Last time we saw it said graphic, unlabeled graphic. So let's hear what NVIDIA has to say right now.
Thorium, accessible page to heading level 2 graph and math sample.
Okay, so it said heading level 2 graph and math sample. So even said the level of which the heading it marked at.
Heading level 3 example 1.
Okay, heading level 3 example 1. So this is again another navigation point for them to directly jump. And now coming to the image. So listen carefully what the image says now after it has been tagged with an alt text.
As details graphic bar graph in the image is described below.
So it said in details bar graph in the image is described below. Now why did it say below is the reason that there is a lot of information shown in this bar graph. If we try to put everything inside that small box that is provided in Word, it won't make much sense. So we use this long description method where we describe the whole image over here. You see, this is the complete image description right now. So it's begin image description begins.
Image description begins.
And then the image is described over here, a few information. And the table that you see is created by the person making this book to symbolize whatever is seen in this image. So the table completely captures all the information shown in this image now. Correct. So now if we go to the table, coming to the table aspect, the table is again a very important feature and it will convey a lot of information to the person using the screen reader. So let's jump to the table. So there's a shortcut. If I just press T, it will directly take me to the table. Let's see.
Table with 5 rows and 7 columns. Row 1, column 1.
Okay, so it directly went to the table. It also announced table with 5 rows and 7 columns. So now the person using a screen reader knows that there is a table with so and so many columns. Now let's see how the table is read out.
Column 2 Arizona.
Okay, so it said column 2 Arizona.
Column 3 District of Columbia.
Okay, so same way it will denote the column number and it will say what the contents in that particular cell are. Now, if you see that the first row or the first row in this table is a little more darker in the background, is grayed out. The reason being this first row is marked as a header row. Now, what the header row would do is for a sighted person, when we see, for example, in the second column, we see 45 percentage. So we know that this 45 percentage is for Arizona. But what if we closed our eyes and the person only said 45 percentage? We don't know what is it for. Is it for Michigan? Is it for Arizona? How will we know that? So if the first row is marked as a header row, it will announce the first header, that is Arizona, and then it will say 45. Let's see an example.
Column row 2 Arizona, column 2 35%.
Okay, so it said Arizona column 2 35%. Okay, let's hear it again for Michigan.
Dist Michigan, column 4 5%.
Okay, Michigan column 4 5%. So now the screen reader user knows exactly for which state he is reading this percentage figures. So this is the kind of detail the screen reader can give back to the user if everything is marked properly and made accessible. This is the power of accessible books. So now going to the next image that was there. So if this is if it's a short description, we don't need this long method. So let's see how that image will be read out now. So this is the image. Okay, so let's see how it reads. So if I directly want to jump to the image, again I have got a shortcut that go to a graphic. So press G.
The graph is a scatter plot entitled Rainfall and Plant Growth. The horizontal x-axis shows average rainfall ranging from 0 to 4,000 in units of millimeters per year, in increments of 1,000. The vertical y-axis shows plant tissue production in units of.
Okay, so you see the detail in which it is explaining this graph. So this is obviously done by a person who did the editing of this book, but you can tell the users in this much detail. So even if you close your eyes, you imagine this, what it's saying, you will be able to imagine there is a scatter plot. Majority of them are on the left side. So this is how an image description should be there. I'll be sharing 2 documents for the guidelines of image descriptions that everyone can go through. All these topics will be covered over there. Okay, so this is the part where image description becomes an integral part of making an accessible document. So now let's go to the very important part that we saw at the end, that is maths. Anyone in the room, has anyone seen a screen reader using math? Suppose a child says, I want to take up maths as a subject after 10th standard. Would he be able to do that? So let's see if that is possible now.
Blank. Clickable page 3 define function we denote matrix.
Okay, so now what you see over here is a matrix. So matrix has rows and columns just like a table. So let's see if the screen reader is able to provide me with the information that is there on the screen.
A is equal to the 3 by 2 matrix. Row 1, column 1, negative 2, column 2, 5, row 2, column 1, 0, column 2, the square root of 5.
Okay, so it said it's a matrix. It's a 3 by 2 matrix. So it's telling this user everything it needs to know. Let's see in the next example.
B, C, e to the x power the square root of 2 is equal to log x plus 1 half.
Okay, so e to the x power square root of 2. This is just the basic of how the math is read if it is done properly in Word. And then export it to an EPUB file. So now you see what an accessible document can do for a person with visual impairment using a screen reader, or a print disabled person who cannot read that physical book, right? So now let's see what we can do in the Word file to make it into this accessible copy. So I will turn off the screen
Exit
reader now. So we'll take the same document that was there, the inaccessible Word document, and let's see how the markup was done to make it into this accessible copy. We'll be again covering the same points. So before starting, if you see at the bottom of the screen over here, like in this, so it says in accessibility investigate. So even Microsoft Word gives you hints that there is some issues with accessibility in this document. So it's called the accessibility checker for Microsoft Word. So if we click on that right now, it will show only one error that says the image description. The object description is the image description is missing for the images in this document. So if we click on it, it will directly take us to that image where the description is missing. Okay. So let's start from the beginning, that is the headings. So if you want to mark headings in your document, you can go into home and then there are styles. So in styles, you have got headings 1, 2, 3 up till 7. But what we usually do is we use headings from heading 1 to heading 6, marking different topics and subtopics with different levels of headings. So it's very simple. Just stand on the line you want to mark up. Say this was heading 1. You mark it. And you see over here in the navigation pane, now you have got the first navigation option over here. Same way, if I want to mark chapter 2, that would be the subtopics. I will mark it at heading level 2. So it gives me the second navigation point. So if I am somewhere else in this document, if I just click on chapter 1, it will directly bring my cursor over there, similarly to what we saw in the EPUB file. So this is the navigation part where heading markups play a very important role. Then coming quickly to the footnotes option, or let's see the lists items first. So these are two lists. Right now, if you see, if I'm navigating, it is just navigating over this one. It's not a list item. So I will just remove this one. Okay. So if you want to insert a list, select the two items. There is an option on the top corner where it says numbering. You can open it, select the style of numbering that you want, click on it, and now this is a list. This will be read out as list with two items, 1. And if I stand on the first point now over here, you will see that both these points are getting highlighted together, indicating that the list is now proper. Okay. So this is the method you use every time to create a list. Similarly, for these points where there is a sub list, you select the whole thing, click on numbering. It will create two lists, one with a sub list and one with a main list. Okay. So listing is very, very important for persons using screen reader because they can directly navigate to that list with a shortcut if it was inserted properly. Coming to the third topic of footnotes. So over here we can see that this 1 number is marked. So instead of just putting it as a superscript, we remove the superscript completely. You go into insert or review, references, and there is a insert footnote option over here. So when you click on it, it will directly take you to the bottom of the page. Okay. Over there, you insert whatever the data is there in the footnote. And then you can directly paste it over here. So now if you go back to your footnote that was there on the first point, if you stand over here, you will see the linked footnote coming up over there. Now this is the proper way of inserting the footnote. And even in the EPUB file that we forgot to see the footnote, if we go over there on the main topic, so if there is a link over here, so if I press on this link with a keyboard or a mouse, if I click on it, it will give me the footnote directly below. So the person does not have to go and look for the footnote where it is. He can directly stand over there, read the footnote, again click outside, the footnote goes away, he can continue reading. Okay? So it is even easier for them to read than a person who is reading a physical book, because a person reading a physical book will have to search for that footnote. But for them, it is right at their fingertips. Okay? Then coming to tables again. Okay. So tables is easy to insert. There are multiple ways of inserting. The easiest way is go to insert, go to table, and then you select the number of rows and columns that are required. Click on it and you enter your data in the table. Okay, it's as easy as that. Regarding the image description, so the thing that you heard over there, that the rainfall, the x-axis and everything is embed. You won't see the image description outside in the Word file or in the EPUB file. It is embedded inside that only the screen reader can announce. So for that, if you want to insert all text, go on the image, right click and go to view all text. That will give you a dialog box over here, and you can enter your image description here. Okay, which describe. So whatever you write over here gets embedded inside this image, and then when the screen reader comes to that image, instead of saying graphic, unlabeled graphic, it will read out this description that you just entered. Right. So that is for descriptions. And also with image description, there is an important aspect that is called the captions. So few images have got captions below it, like this one, figure 1. So instead of keeping it inside the figure like this, what you can do is you can again right click on the image, and there is an option called insert caption. So it will give you a figure number, you say okay, and then whatever your data is over there in the caption, you write it over here. And when the screen reader again comes over here, it will read caption, and then it will start reading this data that was given inside the caption. So the user now exactly knows that this is not a normal paragraph, it is a caption for the image above, and starts reading it. Then coming down to math. This is probably the most interesting part. Right now, both these images that you see are in an image format. So all the information is lost. Even if you give an alt text to this, you cannot give up exactly a proper alt text for such a long equation. So the best option for everyone is to create that equation. So for creating that, there is an option in Word that says insert. You go to the last option that says equation, click on it, and it says type your equation here. So now you start typing it, that is a whatever is given equals, and then there are options over here to select your structure of that equation. What is the equation structure? Is it a fraction? Is it a superscript, subscripts? So we want a matrix, so you'll just go into there, select the type of matrix that you want, that is a 2 by 2 or 2 by 3, right? And there was a bracket beside the matrix, so you select the whole thing. There is also an option for bracket structures. So if it's a square bracket, it also reads out this. If you see, it's written square bracket. So each and every term is marked for the screen reader to announce. The brackets are there, and now you just need to enter the values in the equation, that is 1, 2 or -2. It's as easy as that. And this whole thing is being read out just like a normal teacher would be reading it in a classroom. right? So this is a very, very basic overview of math. And since we are covering math, it is very important for a person making an accessible copy to use the correct symbols in the book. Sometimes symbols do look very similar visually, like for example a triangle symbol for a math books or a minus sign. It looks really, really similar, but if you use the wrong thing, the screen reader will pick up its ASCII value and announce that. So let's just take a very small overview for that. Okay, so this is the symbols list that are generally creating mistakes in the file. So let's hear it with a screen reader and see quickly what it reads out.
Document increment. Page 1.
Okay, so now there are three types of triangles. In a maths book, generally we read it as triangle ABC. So let's see what the screen reader reads with different symbols.
Increment ABC.
It says increment ABC. That is wrong.
Triangle ABC.
This is correct.
Delta ABC.
Delta ABC is again wrong. So you see all three visually appearing are all triangles, but when the screen reader goes over it, it reads the exact name assigned to that symbol. Similarly, if there's a division sum, we always get divisions in books. So let's see how it reads that.
2/3.
So it says 2/3. Makes a very little sense, 2/3. But if it was a division sum, it should read it like this.
2 divided by 3.
This makes perfect sense that this is 2 divided by 3. So the person does not have to guess if is it a division sign or a slash sign. Correct? And similarly for minus,
3-2 equals 1.
first it read 3-2 because what we use is a hyphen, that is a key just besides your 0 key. But in actual, it should read 3-2 like we want to read it. So it should be a minus sign like this.
3 minus 2 equals 1.
But this makes perfect sense. You see the
Delta ABC.
smallest change or the smallest thing that you insert in your accessible copy will be read out with the screen reader and it will be announced as it is. So always make sure what you're using in your accessible copies. Do not use it because it looks similar, because the screen reader won't go on looks. It will go on the value assigned to it. So always make sure of that. Okay?
Exit and
Then coming to the very last topic, that is the copy pasting part, the one we saw over here. So when such a situation occurs, like with this book, if there is no Unicode value present, we do not need to go and write the whole book manually, but we need to run OCR on this. There are different applications available for OCR. Okay, there is optical screen recognition for recognizing the characters, and we can insert that text into our Word file. The very simplest method that you can use for this kind of thing is the Google Image OCR for a very simple example. So if we go over there, you upload the same image to your Google Lens. It will recognize all these texts over here. And then if you select this text from here, you say copy, go back to your Word file. Where is the Word file? And now if you paste it over here, you see you get Hindi text. Now this Hindi text will be read out with the screen reader. If you want to hear how it reads, we can just quickly see.
Man document wa blank. Man karta hai suraj banakar asman mein daur lagao. Man karta hai chanda banakar sabdaro parakar dikhao.
Okay. So it will be a little robotic voice, but you can change those in NVDA settings. This is just a general setting that I'm running on. Okay. So you can get the kind of voice you want. You can get the female voice, you can get a more coarse male voice. So all those settings are there. So you can read the Hindi text just like a normal teacher would be reading the Hindi text. Okay. So this is Unicode text. This should be there in your accessible copies. And also if you see when you paste this Unicode text over here, let me go to another file. So over here right now, if you see in the bottom part where my mouse pointer is, it says English India. So it recognizes the language that was there. So when I paste this Hindi text over here, okay, whatever two words are coming in, so it recognizes it as Marathi. But I want it as Hindi, so I need to tell it that this is Hindi. It's not Marathi. So you can go into those languages, go into this options. There will be Hindi text, and this is the spell check in Word. So you tag it as Hindi. So now when it comes over here, you see the red line went away for Rehta Hai or whatever. Sorry. So now with the cursor on that line, it will recognize it as Hindi, and the screen reader language will change inside, and it will start reading it as Hindi language. If the language is not tagged properly, it won't read your vernacular languages or any language for that matter. So tagging that language in an accessible copy is very, very important. So this is a very, very general overview on what goes on behind accessible books, what all things you need to incorporate inside your accessible copies. We at Bookshare will be happy to guide you ahead, give you trainings regarding the same. There are numbers for our helplines. You can always come up, you can always call our helplines, and we'll be happy to take this forward with you. Thank you so much everyone for your time. Hoping to see you connected with Bookshare soon.